How can I control my cravings with the extra stress and anxiety happening in the world right now?
So this is maybe starting to sink in for me, like the anxiety, maybe not the anxiety, but the stress part. Like I thought that this would be fine for us as we went through this, and now the kids are coming home, and we've got all this extra food in the house because we've stocked up, and they don't eat keto, so we have stocked up on just about everything. So the cravings potentially could come from anywhere. The way that I'm doing it is being very intentional about all of my routines, right? Like when we go to bed, when we get up, when we exercise, when we take breaks, when we decide to eat, things like that. Just being very intentional about keeping a schedule, because a schedule is a great way to keep your brain trained for the things that you've already been doing.
And that's great, because earlier in the week, on Monday, I caught myself, I read the news for an hour first thing in the morning. I never do that. That's not part of my normal routine. And so starting on Tuesday, Jeremy's gym closed. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to do my workout first thing in the morning when you do your workout. And so I started a new routine so that to prevent myself from starting my day by reading all the news headlines. So I don't read news. I get up. I kind of just get my day set so that I can kind of get that mental space where I need it to be. Because I feel like when I was reading the news first thing in the morning, which really I had probably done since Friday, every single morning, if not before that, but I was in Phoenix before that, I felt off. But once I started not reading the news for the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the day, I could get into a good mental framework, if you will, to be able to handle the news when I did sit down and go, okay, I'm going to let myself have 10 minutes, I'm going to read the news, and then I'm going to move on. And I literally set a timer. Because right now it's really easy to spend hours and hours reading the news, because you want to look at what's going on in the world, you want to look what's going on in community, what's going on in your state. And it's definitely responsible to stay abreast of what's happening. And then we have our teens who are updating us. So other things you can do. Now, the anxiety and the stress level is definitely up. Some people, the world has drastically shifted. What our lives were like 2-3 weeks ago is gone. And we aren't going to get that back anytime soon. That's just the reality. So practicing accepting that, and then making sure you have that keto emergency plan set up. So if your guilty pleasure is cupcakes, make some keto cupcakes, get those in the freezer so that when you're having an emotional event and you say, I know this is an emotional event, I know this is stress talking, I don't actually need to eat the thing to feel better, I know that eating the thing isn't going to make me feel better, but if you have that food made and done, you can go ahead and have the indulgence and not undo your hard work.
The other thing you can do is a little bit of a psychological hack, and that is to realize that it is anxiety. Be okay with being anxious. That kind of doesn't really make sense, but when you can acknowledge it for what it is, then you can ask yourself a question, and the question is, how would the best version of myself show up in this moment? If these circumstances didn't exist, how would the best version of me show up? Because you might give in to the temptation and you might not feel bad about it for several months. You might slip, you might backslide a long ways, but eventually that's going to catch up with you and you're going to find yourself at that place that you've already been at before, that place that you were at when you decided to do this diet in the first place. So why go back? Why backslide? That's what the suboptimal version of you would do. So what would the best version of you do in this situation?
And the last tip I'll provide is breathing. It is so easy to hold your breath, to breathe very shallowly. And that can happen when we're anxious, when we're feeling fear, when our whole worlds are upended, which is really what we're experiencing as a worldwide society right now. So focusing on your breathing. Sleep meditations. We've talked in the past few weeks about Glenn Harrold's app, Relax and Sleep Well. We do sleep meditations at night. There's a, what is it called? Calm is another app. There's a lot of apps out there. Some are free, some are paid. There's meditations and breathing exercises on YouTube. This might be a good time to start practicing yoga. I know Yoga with Adrienne has been putting out some yoga for anxiety, things like that. Just allow your breath, you feel your breath, and learning how to breathe and to feel that energy, that skill is so useful whenever you experience anxiety. And there's been moments during the day where I just have to stand up, go to another room, and just do 5 minutes of breathing exercises, and it will help calm and ground you. Now, if you're in a warm place, you can get outside and do that, like feet to the earth, feet and hands to the earth. That's even better because you can use the grounding power of the earth to ground your body, to calm your body.
Yep.
So the more outdoor time you can get with bare feet, the better.